You avoiding the doodle poll about the get together?
Yeah, look at that, Claire.
I haven't got to do a poll.
You did 2 weeks ago.
Apparently, I'm avoiding the do a poll. Go and get together. Who's boss?
Okay, it is now live streaming. Preparation for the meeting is started.
I don't know. It's not like him.
Are you serious?
It was on our last.
You just need to search again.
No, just get together. Or call that.
No.
Somebody asked my dad to make him send some phone calls before it was really popular. He said he Googled it. Hey, Sheriff. Well, he did. He said, well, how are you? Fun to have you here.
Good to be here. Yeah. Well, we hope to improve it like it is. We want to make it easy for people, so we're happy to hear feedback so that we can make a better user experience. Yeah, I wish I would have known that before the end of it. Yeah, I don't see the comment. No, none of us in the room see the comment. That's just a community. You guys get to comment on that. We can go back and look at it. No, I don't see it in the moment while I'm making sure that it's up and running. Well, my focus is on meetings.
Are we ready to start?
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta go. Okay. All right, welcome everybody to our council meeting of September 15th, 2020. It's now 6 p.m. and all council members are in attendance. And we'd also like to welcome Sheriff Sparks here and Sergeant Polk. Appreciate them coming tonight. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Soderquist, and then we'll have a prayer by Councilwoman Alberts.
Please stand and repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we are so very grateful to be able to gather here as council members and staff and those that care about our city. We're grateful for this opportunity that we have to work together and find out the best needs for our city and for our state and town. Father, we're so very grateful for this beautiful country that we have to live in, and we pray that will seek a blessing upon it, that we will be able to feel the comfort and spirit with us, and especially those that are facing upcoming storms, that thy hand of safety be upon them. We pray for thy wisdom and thy strength in making decisions for our country and for our city as well, and pray for all those that are in need of special blessings at this time. We pray for our emergency professionals and hope that they know how much we value and appreciate them and their hard work, and are grateful for their time and dedication to serving us. We are grateful, Father, for all these many blessings more, and see these things in thy Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Soderquist and Councilwoman Alberts. Just a quick Corona update. South Weaver City has a total of 45 cases with 2 active this week. Numbers are increasing this week in Davis County and Utah, especially college age 15 to 24 years of age. The 14-day case average shows a stabilization. The schools are doing quite well right now, except down in Utah County. They're having quite a surge, especially with college students. Utah ranked the second lowest mortality rate per active cases in the U.S. behind Hawaii at 0.8%. So that's good. The transmission rate in Davis County is below 1% right now, which is good. And South Weaver City still has the lowest case rate in Davis County, which is awesome. So thank you, all of you who are keeping safe. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move to public comment. Please state your name and address. Please speak for 3 minutes or less. Direct your comments to the entire council and know that we will not be making any remarks at this time. We are now open for public comment.
You can't have that one.
Paul Stern, 2527 Deer Run Drive. My comment is, I talked to Lisa earlier tonight, and I would like to commend her on the packets now, because they have the agenda item number listed in the packet. It makes it much easier to follow what you're reading about. And I'd like to congratulate her on that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thanks,
Paul. And thank you, Lisa. It has been helpful to me as well, so thank you. All right, we didn't have any online, Dave?
No.
No online. I guess we've exhausted our public in the room, so, all right. So we will now move from public comment and we have the Davis County Sheriff's Office quarterly report presentation. Sergeant Pope is here tonight to present the city law enforcement statistics, and so we'll turn the time over to him.
Hello. Speaking of the packet, I was going to send that in before it went out, but I had my own little incident that I had to respond to, and so I didn't get it in. So I apologize.
You were sure.
Exactly. Yes. Doing what we do. So I'm sure you guys have seen this picture before. I thought it was a great day. Thought we'd take a picture, and I think that represents our city and the sheriff's office real well. This presentation is from December 3rd to September 8th. So it's been a little while since we've met, and so we've got a little bit of information. I kept the incidents that we usually go over down to the ones that were more significant throughout the city, so that it kind of cut it down a little bit. So we wouldn't be here for 2 hours, just me going over things. So I've been a paramedic for 19 years. I've been a law enforcement officer and served in the sheriff's office for 14 years. My entire law enforcement career has been here. I've really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed being involved with South Weaver. The citizens here are amazing. Like literally amazing. So I can't say enough about them.
Sergeant Pope,
Yes.
can I ask you to speak into the mic so that
Oh, I
those
will.
watching online can?
Yes. Yeah, they just take that off, right?
Yeah, you can take that
Okay.
off.
I think I'm safe. I think we're good. We've got our distance here. I don't know if I can click on those. Are you able to click on, because those are actually links. Right there. So these are the reported hours that our deputies do daily shift logs on. So they basically put down what incidents they were on, traffic stops, whatever, and they list their times. So all the way from that first week, we started at 77 hours, which we thought we could improve on, including myself. I pushed that a little bit, and my goal was to be over 100 hours every week, at least. And we've pretty much met that goal every week since, and exceeded a lot of the time. So all the way down through December here, we've got all that. Those are the total hours that you see at the bottom, 4,810 since December to September. And then it kind of further breaks it down that during day shift, weekly hours are about 70.68, not about, that's what we've logged. Nighttime, 49.58, and the total weekly average is 120.25. Like I said, that's exceeded my goal of 100. That's what I feel this city really needs. And honestly, heck, if we can put more out, then let's put more out. So 120, I was very excited to see that. Call volume, we've had 2,511 calls through the computer-aided dispatch. 73 arrests in the city during that time, 656 traffic stops, 197 citations, 295 violations from those actually citations, and 123 radar enforcements. I think those are extremely important to bring up because that's the main complaint that we get is radar enforcement speeding. That is the highest complaint that we see at the sheriff's office. So 123 radar enforcements, that's a lot. We're out there, we're hitting it as hard as we can, and 7 DUIs in the city. A special note down at the bottom is 54.77% of the calls are self-initiated. That means the deputy is out there being proactive and starting the incident themselves, that call themselves. So traffic stops, radar enforcements, extra patrols, all that type of stuff. Those are what's listed as self-initiated. So, and we actually have a sheet that will run that down and tell us exactly what percent every type of call is. So that's how I was able to collect that number. The next one just is a further breakdown of the calls. That was kind of more for the packet. It'll actually show that, like I said, the percentages on the right. So you can actually add those up yourself if you really wanted to. But you can see there's 48 accidents, 34 residential alarms, 37 attempt to locates throughout the city. That does include Highway 89. So you think 37 sounds like a lot for an attempt to locate, someone calling in a possible DUI or something like that. That also does include Highway 89. We get a lot through Highway 89. So like I said, that was mainly for the packet there. We don't have to go through every single call line by line there. So thank you very much. I appreciate you helping me out with that. Next, we'll go on to the significant events throughout the city for that time period. We'll start on December 13th. We had a drug offense. An off-duty Syracuse PD officer called in to report a male smoking marijuana in the area of his neighborhood. So he lives in the city. The officer attempted to confront the suspect who began to resist him. They got into a little bit of a physical argument there. And deputies responded and identified the suspect. He'd been smoking marijuana out of a potato fashioned in a pipe. The suspect was booked for the offense, and it was found that the potato field tested positive for the presence of marijuana. Now, this was pre-COVID, so we actually don't book people for smaller offenses like this anymore. We're trying to keep that out of our jail. That's one big thing that we pushed. And so far, we have not had any inmates, as I know, that have had any COVID. So that we were very proud of that number because we take it very seriously. January 10th, we had a drowning, 1-year-old male drowned in the bathtub, found, and CPR was done by paramedics. The patient started having agonal respirations, which means they're starting to breathe on their own, and then started breathing. The patient then started crying with poor quality and transported to the hospital. I wasn't able to find an actual follow-up to that, but I imagine if that's where the child was already going, that they probably did pretty well after that. January 16th, we had a suspicious Deputy Castro located a white pickup parked near the pipeline gate on the east end of Cornelia Drive. The truck was unoccupied, but had the keys in the ignition with the wallet and money in the seat. The male stood up and on the road above, right there, and began to yell down at the deputy. The male then walked away. Once contact was made with the male, it appeared he was having a psychological problem. The male had parked at 6:45 in the morning and left his vehicle. The male was not dressed for the weather and was acting schizophrenic. He was also on parole for aggravated arson. Ultimately, the male was pink sheeted to McKay, and his sister responded to take his truck. One other thing that we've implemented here at the sheriff's office since this time is we've got a receiving center, which will help people with psychiatric issues and drug abuse and things like that. So if we do end up arresting someone that has a drug abuse problem, we can actually, it's like a diversion program. So we can take them down to this receiving center and we can divert those charges if they follow through with the program that they set for them. If they don't follow through and they walk out, we're not going to stop them, but then those charges would go into effect. So we basically are giving them that chance to, hey, let's get you clean, rather than make you have this cycle of drug abuse problems and then money issues and then just continuing the cycle. So we're also very proud of that program. We've started some really good things here. January 17th, we had a warrant service. Deputies were dispatched at a parking problem at this address. The home is being used as an Airbnb. The complainant reported that several cars were parked on the street during a snowstorm. The complainant reported that the occupants were making lots of noise the night before. Arriving deputies spoke with the occupants. One of the males provided several aliases and false names until he was successfully identified. He was identified with a Florida ID. He claimed to have taken a Greyhound bus to parts of the state that were unknown. Upon the positive ID, it was found that he had an NCIC hit, which is a National Crime Information Center hit out of Indiana for aggravated assault. The NCIC hit was confirmed by dispatch. He was arrested and transported to the jail. Running vehicle was found on January 26th. I apologize. That running vehicle was found to be parked in the middle of the road on the door with the driver's side open. The vehicle was found to be registered in the immediate area. The owner advised the vehicle had been left unlocked with the keys inside it. It appeared that it was a possible vehicle theft attempt, but the would-be thieves were not able to operate a manual transmission and left it stalled out in the middle of the road. So extra patrols were provided. We weren't able to find any suspects in that, but gladly the victim did not lose their vehicle in this. We've all seen The Dumbest Criminals in the TV show, right? February 10th, we had a domestic. The victim called in to report her ex, who's the father of her children, had showed up at her home and attempted to pick up the children. When she refused and did not answer the door, he forced entry into the apartment and proceeded to assault her in front of the children. He then attempted to take one of the children, which the victim prevented, and called for help. At that point, the suspect fled the area and was later contacted and arrested by deputies. He was booked for burglary, domestic violence assault, domestic violence in presence of a child, and custodial interference. Domestic violence is one of the most terrible ones that we can respond to. Just rips families apart, and we hate to see those. They do happen though. March 6th, on the southeast side of South Weaver, 11 vehicle burglaries happened from 2100 East South Weaver Drive, Cambridge Apartments to Deer Run Drive, 8300 South in South Weaver, basically scattered throughout the southeast side of South Weaver, possibly related to the stolen vehicle that was used to get some guns. I think most people saw that in the news, where they smashed the vehicle into several different businesses and stole guns out of it. All the vehicles were left unlocked and most were rummaged through with nothing of value taken. After the Get Some Guns burglary, another vehicle was stolen out of Farmington and used to crash into Cal Ranch. So these people were doing that. They were found to be juveniles, and I believe they actually did find all the suspects, and most of the guns were actually found as well. So that one actually had a pretty good ending, but too bad we had to have so much collateral damage in between. March 31st, another domestic. Victims called the suspect to come home angry, saying that he wanted his gun to kill himself. Approximately 1 week ago, they found the suspect sitting in his vehicle in his driveway with a gun to his head. While deputies were responding, the male suspect left the home in his truck and camper. The deputy found the vehicle and attempted to make a traffic stop. The suspect continues westbound on South Weaver Drive without yielding, but was not really evading. The difference is yielding, they're not pulling over for us, but he was driving kind of normally. Yeah. And evading, he would be exceeding speed limits, driving recklessly, things like that. So that's where the difference comes in. So he obeyed all traffic laws and finally pulled over in the driveway in Riverdale. Riverdale PD and Weaver County Sheriff's Office assisted us with that. And it wasn't known if he had the possession of his gun. The gun was actually locked up. He didn't have it, but he was not following commands, and it was a little bit difficult to get him out of the vehicle. I was actually on this one. And he was actually transported to McKay for mental commitment. No criminal charges are being sought. So in that situation, we like to get them mental health help rather than try and charge them criminally for not stopping or whatever happens from there. On April 11th, residential alarm was dispatched from above that. Well, I've redacted some of the addresses, so I apologize. It says above address, but the address has been redacted. While deputies were en route, dispatch was able to make contact with the homeowner and advise that his alarm had gone off. He found his front door open. Upon arriving in the area, vehicle was seen leaving the neighborhood at a high rate of speed. Deputy was able to catch up to the vehicle and perform a traffic stop on I-84. The male driver stated he was traveling and refused to identify himself. Those are usually some of our sovereign citizens that say they're traveling, they're not driving, so they don't need a driver's license because they're traveling. So that's some of the things we run into. He caught up to it a short distance down I-84 where the vehicle stalled out. The male driver was taken into custody with assistance from Weaver County agencies after a short foot pursuit. He was found to be in possession of methamphetamine, marijuana, and paraphernalia. Upon further investigation with the residents, the home was found to be clear, and it was noted that the Ring doorbell camera, as well as several other cameras around the exterior and the interior were found. So they actually got video of him entering. So that one turned out pretty good. May 2nd had an aggravated assault and a robbery. The victim called to report that he'd been assaulted and money had been stolen from him. The deputy arrived and found the suspect and victim on scene. The victim reported attending a party at the residence the night before that included alcohol and marijuana. The victim fell asleep and then he woke and found $800 missing from his wallet. He confronted the suspect and got into an argument. The suspect then hit him over the head with a bottle, shattering it. Then he took $100 from him while threatening him with a broken beer bottle. Apparently, he didn't learn his lesson. The shed at the rear of the residence where this took place seems to be a hangout with a large bong smelling of marijuana inside it. The suspect was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, and possession of controlled substances. We had a large burglary at Axiom Construction. This one's a little bit longer. I apologize, that one's very kind of confusing. So if you guys don't mind too much, I will skip a little bit of this. Basically $20,000 worth of property were stolen from inside the building and were found in a vehicle that was parked nearby. Deputies were able to box that vehicle in, and the suspect fled on foot, where we caught him a little bit later and were able to tie the two together and arrest him for that. So looks like all the property was returned, and thankfully that was a happy ending as well. May 4th, the Summit County Sheriff's Office, deputies received a tip from an informant that a suspect from Axiom was in the area of Park City. So he actually got bailed out and didn't show up for his court case. So he was found in Park City and he was arrested and transported back to our county for his arraignment. June 28th, Canyon Airbnb, shots fired. Several deputies, Highway Patrol and Kaysville PD responded to South Weaver for reports of shots fired. Upon arrival, several persons were interviewed, but no one reported seeing any gun, any persons firing a gun, or any injuries. It was found that a group of people had rented the house to make a music video. Sometime during the night, a fight broke out between several parties that were not invited. During the fight is when 3 shots were allegedly fired on the roadway. They weren't able to find any casings or any evidence of that, and so we were unable to make charges because we didn't have any probable cause for that. But we haven't had a whole lot of issues at that place recently. I think we've been watching it pretty heavily, and I sit outside there quite often. So July 5th, deputies responded to the sister of a homeowner who jumped from a window of a house, then returned inside to obtain a frying pan and threatened her sister with a cooking instrument, and then exited the house again. She was transported to McAdee for his psychiatric eval. Another one where we don't like to charge people for things if it's a psychiatric issue. We'd rather treat the problem first. July 14th, we had a trespassing. Female homeowner called stating there was a male walking around in her backyard without a shirt. On arrival, the first deputy found the male homeowner of the house holding a shotgun and expelling rounds out of it. He put the shotgun on the ground and stepped away. The male suspect was still on scene and put his shirt back on. The homeowner stated he received a call from his wife. So the guy with the shotgun said he received a call from his wife saying an unknown male had been walking around their home. Upon his arrival, the unknown male was in the passenger seat of his vehicle. So he had actually entered into the homeowner's vehicle. He grabbed his shotgun and told the male to leave. The male began yelling at him and confronting him. They got into a physical altercation over the shotgun. The homeowner was actually able to retain the shotgun and retreat before our deputy showed up. And so we placed that male under arrest, and he has a history of controlled substance abuses, and he was arrested for criminal trespass, vehicle burglary, and assault. July 24th, we had 7 vehicle burglaries. Initial details were that a male wearing gloves was walking in front of a red Honda Civic and began checking the doors of vehicles. Upon the sheriff's office arrival, they had fled the area and the vehicle burglary report started. Deputy Reed collected a good photo of the video of the suspects. One of the photos showed the suspect picking up a handgun off the ground. Another video showed the suspect had it in his possession. All vehicle burglarized were unlocked and had been gone through. The Honda Civic was later reported stolen out of South Weaver as well. This is where I kind of want to give a little warning to some of the residents as well. Some of them have been wanting to confront suspects when this happens, and this is the exact reason why calling us is perfect. I know sometimes it may, 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes may seem like forever for us to get there, but the danger is right here. He's got a firearm and he's holding it, and who knows what they're going to do with that if they get confronted by citizens. So just let us handle it. Let us take care of that.
Were the suspects caught and apprehended?
I don't believe so. I think they have some good leads. The detectives division has been working on that, and I believe they have some good leads on identifying them, but I don't believe they've caught a suspect in that as of yet. July 25th, we had a noise complaint. A report of 30 individuals with underage persons drinking at a party in South Weaver. Deputies responded and found 20 individuals with 3 cars leaving. Several were underage at 21 and had been consuming alcohol. One individual was found to be in possession of marijuana. Multiple citations were issued and all parties were released. This is where we're talking about the COVID response from our sheriff's office. We're trying not to book for lower level crimes on that. So they were released up with the citation. August 1st, aggravated domestic violence assault. Dispatch reported a physical male and female assault occurring, upon which the deputies arrived. He found a hostile male suspect and female with obvious bruising to her neck and face. The victim was separated and stated she'd been choked and thrown on the ground. The male suspect was taken into custody and booked in jail for aggravated domestic violence assault. This is actually the second domestic violence assault within 2 months. And then we'll get to another one here in a minute with the same suspect. August 5th, we had a DUI traffic accident. Deputies were dispatched to a traffic accident involving injury. While en route, several bystanders reported the male driving was the one involved, and he had alcohol in the vehicle and was trying to cut his wrists with a pen. He then fled into a field on a property adjacent to the scene of the accident where bystanders held containment on him. Upon arrival, deputies located the male and found him to be suicidal and DUI. He was transported to Davis Hospital, released on citation, and pink sheeted. Pink sheet means it's a involuntary hold for them to receive psychiatric help. The vehicle the suspect had rear-ended was disabled and towed from the scene. The driver was evaluated and released. That driver was evaluated and released by EMS. On August 9th, we had reckless burning. Multiple fire units responded to a fence on fire. The homeowner has an extensive history with law enforcement and had a shed burn on fire in December of 2019. South Weaver fire marshals believe this fire to be suspicious, and the neighbors and the residents report an ongoing feud with the homeowner. After interviewing the suspect, he was arrested for felony 2 arson. August 11th, we had an aggravated assault. The male suspect threatened his mother's boyfriend if he didn't leave on the property. The suspect said he would get a shotgun and hammer. This is the 3rd incident, by the way, of that same suspect. Said he would get a shotgun and hammer and shoot the boyfriend. While the caller was on the phone with dispatch, the suspect started shooting the shotgun at the trailer the boyfriend was staying in. The suspect was taken into custody and evidence of the shooting was collected. He was booked on aggravated assault ×2, felony discharge of a firearm, and threatening the use of a dangerous weapon in a fight. August 17th, we had evading. This is the high-speed pursuit evading. Deputy Brown performed a traffic stop on a motorcycle. The motorcycle initially stopped but then fled. He advised dispatch but didn't pursue. A citizen that witnessed the incident knew the driver of the motorcycle. The deputy was able to positively identify him as a resident of South Weaver. The deputy located the suspect with the motorcycle a short time later, and he was arrested, and the motorcycle was impounded. So this is where I'm talking about our community here in South Weaver is awesome. Without that information, there's no way we could have connected those two. So our citizens are amazing. August 26th, we had a suspicious. Deputy Shawley was parked to conduct. This is where we're trying to conduct extra patrols in the area with all the vehicle burglaries. The deputy was parked conducting extra patrol in the area. He observed an older model SUV driving slowly through the area, consistent with the manner of recent vehicle burglaries, where they're driving slowly down the middle and then will hit all the cars. When the deputy turned on his headlights to go check on the vehicle, the driver turned off their headlights and sped out of the area. Several deputies responded and assisted attempting to locate. It was about 45 minutes to an hour. They were in the area trying to look for the suspect, but they weren't able to find them. And the reason he wasn't able to catch up to it, because I thought the same thing, so I actually read the report. He was at one end of 1900 East, and the vehicle was on the other end, so it took him a while to be able to catch up. Almost done. September 6th, we had an accident. Deputy Robinson observed a vehicle off the roadway and discovered a 12-year-old male in the vehicle uninjured. The 12-year-old male was identified. He had decided to go for a drive, and since he was out, was going to the store to get some things for the family. His parents were contacted and responded to the scene. No criminal charges were being sought on him, but just maybe some education with him. On May 30th, the sheriff's office responded to assist Salt Lake City PD with protests as the demonstration swelled. This is actually from our sheriff's press release that he put out. As the demonstration swelled to thousands of people and turned violent, Salt Lake City PD sent out a 1033, which is a help me quick, which valley-wide to any officer in the area. In all, 23 deputies from the sheriff's office responded, including 8 paramedics. I was out there, and there were no ambulances able to be in there. There were no fire trucks. couldn't even get them in. All the injured we had to take back to an armored vehicle to escort them out, and it was pretty intense. So I'm very proud of our office for being able to assist a neighboring agency like that. One of our canines passed away on July 4th, had a seizure and passed away. It was unexpected. So the canine Ronin, we had a funeral for him. One of our retired lieutenants was in a plane crash, and he ended up subsequently passing away from that as well. And he served here for over 20 years, and amazing person. And then we had our September windstorm. In the middle there, I want to put that one out, is a bunch of kids that as I was driving through the area looking for anyone who needed help, I saw this bunch of kids out there with garbage bags picking up all the garbage from the fence that had caught in the fence. And I just thought that was so cool. I asked them if I could take their picture, and they said, yeah. So I had to put that in here. The one on the left, I'd like to point out too, just because it's kind of funny. One of our deputies is trying to feed a goat to get him back in to his enclosure there. We do a little bit more than just law enforcement response sometimes. So she actually enjoyed it a little too much. But during the windstorm, we did have one serious injury of a resident that I haven't been able to check up on him to see how he's doing, but hopefully I'll be able to do that soon and figure that out.
He had surgery and he's out.
He's out?
He's not out of the hospital, but he's recovering.
Good. That is awesome. I'm very surprised with that, actually. So that is so good to hear. So other than that, one thing I'd like to ask you guys is there anything that you guys see in the city that we could be doing better, or that certain areas of problem that we can hit?
I think you guys are doing a great job.
Just wherever we get the emails, we'll try and hit that area. So keep the emails coming because we want to hear them. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We appreciate all you're doing, and I hope you're feeling support from our city, and hopefully the county is feeling the support of citizens for the police department.
We definitely are. The city has been amazing. I think I just saw a post today, and I think it was Linda that posted it. Just the backing that we have here is amazing, and that's why I love working here, and that's why I'll do anything I can for any citizens. So I love it.
Well, we appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant
Thank you.
Polk. All right. Thank you, Sergeant Polk and Sheriff Sparks. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Sheriff Sparks.
All right. Okay, our next item is the approval of the consent agenda. We're excited to see him. Which includes the city council meetings of August 11th, August 18th, August 25th, the August check register, and the July budget to actual. Are there comments or questions on any of those?
Just had a question on the check register, page 86. What's the O&M change? We had a budget for 1,000 and we spent 5,000.
Wouldn't that be like a municipal utilities O&M?
Isn't that the item we changed to 100,000? We had one that we changed from 1,000 to 100,000. We had a budget amendment. That's the one we had the error on. What page of the
86 of the packet. It says O&M charge.
140, 490.
Under water utility fund.
Is your question
I'm just wondering what it was.
what the charge was?
Yeah. I mean, we budgeted 1,000 and we spent 5,000. I'm just wondering what
Yeah,
was unanticipated there.
oh, that's the one we had a budget amendment to. That's the account.
So this one that went up to 100,000? It was a typo? Okay. All right, thank you.
100,000. Okay. I was looking for a specific expense for some of our report. I apologize.
Any other questions? And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
All right. Any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So it's Councilwoman Petty that made the motion and Councilman Halverson. Maybe that's not what they're asking. All right. Resolution 2020-37. Amend interlocal agreement with Uinta City for the replacement of the Cottonwood Drive water line. The Cottonwood Drive water line project is currently out for bid. As Jones and Associates was coordinating with design with Uinta City, they became aware that Uinta City was planning on using Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, to pay for their share of the construction costs. In order for them to be eligible to use these funds for this project, they have certain bidding requirements. Jones and Associates has reviewed the costs associated with other CDBG projects that their office has done and talked to several contractors regarding the potential increased costs to meet the requirements. Depending on who the contractor is, the increased cost varies. Jones and Associates has determined that the cost increase to meet the CDBG requirements could be anywhere between 0% to 5%. Due to the potential for this increase in costs, staff approached Uinta City to see if they would be willing to adjust the cost share percentage so South Weaver didn't end up paying more than they would have normally paid because Uinta City needed to have the project meet CDBG funding requirements. They were agreeable to adjusting the cost share up to the high end of 5%. This would equate to 47.5% of the project cost to South Weaver and 52.5% to Uinta City. This change requires an amendment to the original interlocal agreement. Jamie Blakesley, the South Weaver City attorney, has prepared this amendment. Both cities will need to sign the amendment to make it official. The cost share percentage for construction costs is the only change to the interlocal agreement. All of the provisions of the agreement remain in force. Are there comments or questions on this item?
Yeah, how do we use that CDBG funds? Why do we?
We don't actually. CDBG funds are dependent on income level and other elements, which we do not typically qualify for.
Thank you.
And we discussed this at the Municipal Utilities Committee meeting, and it was hard to put a specific quantity or quantify what the difference would be. And so that's why they came up with the 5% to try to be fair. So. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Other questions? All right, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-37?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2020-37, the amended interlocal agreement with Uinta City for the replacement of the Cottonwood Drive water line.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 is resolution 2020-38, declaration of surplus property, Public Works Case 50 tractor. City Council budgeted for Public Works to get a new farm tractor in the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget as a replacement for our current Case 50 farm tractor. The new tractor was delivered to the city shop on August 20th, 2020, and staff asks council to declare the old tractor surplus per city procurement policy 2-1-170. Once declared surplus, it will be sent to auction. Per the city's procurement policy 2-1-170.A.2, Dave Larson, acting as Chief Procurement Officer, has reviewed this item and has determined that this tractor is indeed surplus. Are there comments or questions? And do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-38?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-38 for Let's see, resolution of the South Weaver City to declare surplus property in Public Works Case 50 tractor.
Thank you, Councilman Halverson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Councilwoman Alberts. Any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9 is public hearing for the budget 2020-2021 amendment. The current city budget for 2020-21 was adopted on June 16, 2020. Since the adoption of the budget, the city has received CARES Act or coronavirus relief funds from the state. On June 30th, 2020, the City Council gave direction to staff on how these funds should be used. The first amendment is to use the CARES Act funds for 2 gurneys for the fire department. The budgeted amount will be $73,000. The second amendment is for a Lucas chest compression system. This has been reviewed by the Public Safety Committee and comes to the City Council with a recommendation. This purchase is also eligible for CARES Act funds. The budget amount for the Lucas chest compression system is $14,000. This year's budget needs to be opened and amended to reflect those changes. The total of the 2 amendments amounts to $87,000. A public hearing is required prior to amending the budget. Are there comments or questions on this? And do I have a motion? Oh, no, this is public hearing. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. Do I have a motion to, did you want to say anything before, Mark? Okay. Then do I have a motion to go into a public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now open for public hearing on the budget amendment. It looks like we have thumbs up from the crowd. So, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've now closed the public hearing, and are there any comments or questions before we ask for a motion on this resolution?
Does that amount include the purchase of the second gurney? Okay.
Yes.
And this compression system, I'm assuming we're only ordering one because it's easy to move into a second
Vehicle.
ambulance. Is there a need for us to have a second one?
No, not necessarily. When we would use the backup ambulance and it becomes primary, like you said, we can transfer that equipment into the second ambulance.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to point out that this is simply the budget amendment. So if you also want to authorize the purchase of that CPR machine, include that in the motion.
Okay.
But that's the only thing we have a hard cost on currently, correct?
No, we have hard costs on the gurney as well. And if you remember, when we brought the first gurney for
approved.
authorization, you also authorized purchase of the second gurney if funds were available. So funds are available. We're now doing the paperwork side and getting the budget amendment taken care of. So that purchase has already been authorized. It's just the CPR purchase that needs an authorization. But if you want to clarify that and say that the second gurney and the CPR machine, you'd like to authorize staff to make that purchase, that would be good clarity.
And we are absolutely sure that these items will be covered by CARES funds. There isn't any question
Yes,
about that.
there's not concern about this.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-39?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2020-39, budget amendment,
And include the,
and include the authorization to purchase the Lucas chest compression system at the $14,000
and the second gurney.
and the second gurney, which we authorized previously. Thank you, everybody. Second.
All right, any further comment? And we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item is new business. Does the council have any new business?
I do. No,
Okay, Councilman Howerton.
Instead of making it part of my report, as most of you are aware, we've had a couple planning commission meetings. And there's been several things, I'll report on those later, but one of the main things I wanted to talk to the council about and maybe get some feedback for the planning commission is there's been several proposals on the Stevenson property. And I don't think planning commission kind of knows which way to go. And they're asking developers to spend a lot of money on concepts and going back and forth. And I think we need to maybe give them some kind of direction of what we will accept and what we won't accept. I know that's putting the cart before the horse, but my main question is the council willing to entertain any residential on that piece of property as a development? It'll obviously be a development agreement, but is the council willing to accept that and explore that idea? I don't want them to go through months of iterations with the staff and wasting the staff's time, planning commission's time, the developer's time, and then get all the way to us and have us say, well, we're not going to entertain any residential on there. So I think it's only fair to the planning commission to try to give them some direction on which way to go with that development. I know that's putting all of us on the spot because I go back and forth, to be honest with you. But I mean, I'll give you my opinion. I am willing to entertain some, but not in the level that it's at right now currently. Currently, for those of you who haven't seen the proposal, they're proposing some townhouse type residential on that currently. I can't remember how many units it was.
46.
55.
55?
No,
Okay.
R says, one says.
Okay.
7 acres.
We got it. But otherwise, and I don't think that's a final concept. I just want to know, I think we owe it to them to say, yes, we'll entertain that, or no, we won't, because if it may be 3-4 months down the road and then it comes here and we just say, well, none of us are willing to do that. That's wasting. And I don't necessarily care about the developer's time. I care more about our staff's time and our planning commission's time, because we spent 3 hours on it the other night and basically didn't get very far because no one knows exactly what's going to happen. So I am willing to entertain it, but I want to see the bulk of that commercial. And that's just one voice. So I can't represent the voice of the whole council when they wanted me to, but that's not my job. So
When you say the bulk, do you mean more than half?
I would personally, if I had my druthers, I would like to see the whole thing commercial because I think the city needs the commercial. Can it sustain it? That's where I get the question. Can we really sustain, is that 17 acres or is it 19 acres? 17 acres.
Yeah.
Can that piece of property sustain 17 acres of commercial without being a truck stop? I don't know.
So I'm really glad you brought this up, actually, because I had the same conversation and I meant to talk to Wayne about it and I didn't get a chance. So I kind of feel like Wayne, as the mixed use committee, I feel like that didn't really come back to the council very clearly, what we discussed in there and what we decided in there. And I feel like that's kind of some of the confusion that's coming from the planning commission level. Am I out in left field on that?
Are you turning it over to Wayne?
Well, he's chair, so I didn't want to take it from him, but,
I think the members from the planning commission there were understanding that the committee came back and said it did not, how's the right word to say it? No, entertaining any kind of residential on those two lots, the east or west, was not in the best interest of the city. Since then, we've had this development come up. I've been on the fence, as Blair has mentioned before, and have recently landed that, no, this is one of our last serious commercial areas. And if it's our last commercial area, we really need to be diligent in preserving it for just that commercial that will work for the community, in the best interest of the community, not
storage units and things of that nature. I think active commercial, and we need to hold out for that. As much as the sales pitch is to have some residential units, I just, long term, it may sit for a while. A truck stop? No, I won't approve a truck stop.
I won't either.
I think we need to, and the Municipal Utilities Committee, we asked the question, if you close your eyes and you're entering the city from either the east or west end, can you in your mind picture homes or townhomes or whatever that might be on either of those lots? And it came back, no, we can't see that as what the future for the community is. And so based upon that, and Haley's put me on the spot, it's no,
No, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant, I feel like part of the problem that we're seeing on a planning commission level is it kind of got misunderstood or understood that will bring us something and we'll see if we're willing to accept it. And I think that that's putting us in this predicament where the developers are like, well, what do you want us to bring? And the planning commission's like, well, I don't know, bring us something. And the city council's like, oh, I ain't gonna approve of that. Just speaking for myself there. But so I just feel like we need to give more direction for everybody. Everybody just needs a little bit more direction. I personally feel, you know, a developer is always willing to ask for a variance. And, you know, if they feel like they have a really awesome mixed use come forward, then they're able to make that variance request. But I think that it would be in the best interest of all parties to just say no mixed use on these two properties. Is my 2 cents.
And I'll let everybody else respond, but I think I was confused. The hash marks on the plan still would mean mixed use, but they just mean development agreement. And I still think that piece of property, other piece of property still need development agreements so they can't build a strip mall here and a different, I mean, so that piece just looks like a jumbled up commercial mess. But I lean much more towards just straight commercial. So anyway.
I attended that meeting, and I know that the developers are really pressuring the planning commission on that. And I felt bad for the planning commission members, honestly, because I don't think they knew how to answer it. But one thing that you need to look at too is I think they really want a hotel. And so you guys need to decide if that's even something you want to look at. Or you need to look at, they were showing pictures of quaint little shops, and they were quaint and they were gorgeous and everything. But how viable is that in South Weaver? And I mean, you look at downtown Bountiful and places like that that are going right now because of our society, just the way our economy is going. But so that, you know, they propose something like that, but is that something, it looks good and we like the look of it, you know, that type of thing, but is that something you really want? Or I also noticed that nobody talked to them about, are you looking at office space? Or it just, I think everyone needs to be more specific with them and not so vague.
And I agree, and that's kind of why we're bringing that question up. So,
Agreed.
I mean, because if we want it to benefit the city, even commercial office, other than allowing some of our citizens to have an office, it doesn't benefit the city financially.
And same with the storage sets. There's no sales tax revenue.
And so
I agree. We need to be a lot more specific, or we're going to go in circles on all 3 levels, from a developer, planning commission, and city council and staff.
But if we tell them we don't want residential, that's a huge step, because that changes a developer's entire approach. So I'll let everybody else respond, and then
Do other council members like to respond to that?
I would like all the council members' opinion, truly.
I really liked Wayne's visual, and close your eyes and what do you picture there? I don't picture residential there. I feel like it would be a really hard sell to convince me that that would benefit the city.
Councilman Sawyer, please.
I'm probably the newbie on a lot of this, but I lean the same way. I think, you know, if we need to have commercial in the city, that, as I mentioned, is the best place and one of the last few places. And And the way I envision it, you know, I don't know if I can say actual places, but if you had, you know, a timber mine and Cabela's and, I mean, you could have some real, and a grocery store, you know, like a more, you know, not one of these big commercial Walmarts, but some other more local country type feel. I think that's what I'd like to have. You know, as you drive into the city, you want something that represents the city. We've got a great place down there with, you know, the historic site, the Kingston, you know, something along those lines, something that's more, you know, the roots of South Weber rather than the roots of Salt Lake City today. So if residential is on a small portion of it, okay, I'd listen to it, but that would not be my first choice.
Okay. And they are, they are leaning, understanding the Kingston type historic side of that. I think they're trying to bring that in, but they're not quite there on that side either. So, no, I appreciate everybody. I know that's putting people on the spot. Mayor, do you want to give an opinion?
I feel the same way. I mean, we have a very small footprint that we have to go commercial, and our city really needs that. So if there's a way we can provide that, then I think we should hold out and be able to. To Michelle's comment, what about a hotel? I'm just curious what how the council feels about a hotel on that property.
Well, I live the closest to it, and I'm okay with the hotel. As long as we have standards for the type of hotel in that development agreement so that we're maintaining a certain level. Because I think those people come into the city and they leave. I mean, you don't see the problems down here at the hotel 3 miles away.
Right.
Because it's at a certain level of a hotel.
My question relative to a hotel is what's the viability and what's the current success of
99% booked is at the mouth of the canyon, which I would have never believed.
Yeah, because
But
sometimes location is
Yeah.
huge for a hotel.
I actually think it would do better than at the mouth of the canyon.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that it's a higher quality hotel
The-
if it's comes to zoning?
They talked about, and the developer brought this up at Planning Commission, they talked about types of entrances and types of, you know, what the exterior features had to look like in the development agreement so that it had to meet those standards. Your certain, I don't want to say names, your lower level hotels don't meet those standards because they're not willing to build to those standards because they can't support it. But if you talk about the exterior features, the type of entrances, the way you go into the door of the rooms, they're not a motel, it's a hotel, that type of thing, you can ensure you get a certain level. And you can talk about heights and all those kind of things. So, but that's my opinion from the guy who lives closest to that property.
The thing about a hotel is people come, spend their money and leave. And there's not that's kind of nice for our city as far as that goes. Not a lot that we have to do for that, so.
I think a hotel would be fantastic.
Okay.
Any other feelings on a hotel?
I'm not opposed to it, but Blair's mentioned there have to be some restrictions and or governance, you know, height and style and type and things like that. So I'm not opposed to it, but we look at it very closely.
Yeah, agreed.
I see Councilman Soderquist nodding.
Yeah.
Haley?
Yeah, I think as long as we have some strict restrictions and qualifications, setbacks, I think that's something to look at probably in our code for commercial highway and ensuring that we are putting exactly what we want there.
So I'm wondering if we want to take this committee that we call a mixed use committee, and Dave and I spoke about this earlier, and make it sort of an architectural design and, elements design group so that we know exactly, you know, the look and feel of what might go there. You like that idea? Blair?
I love that idea.
I resign as the committee chair. I don't do the foo-foo stuff.
I would not do very good at that committee, trust me. Unless you're talking ductwork.
I don't know if we have to decide that tonight, but
I think that's something that we could talk about in the code committee. There, I have been researching some things in different cities and how they do a design review team and things. So maybe that could be something we could discuss there where we're already outlining those roles. and
That's what I was thinking too, the code committee, which is still you guys, but also has other members to it that could help input.
Yeah.
I can only sidestep so many times and we'll still step on it.
And while we're on that, I mean, to the code committee and that property discussion, can we just take out of the commercial highway any possibility for, I don't think we want a truck stop in our city. But when it, because it allows for, in commercial highway, it allows for, I think it says a fuel station. I think it's the wording, but that's a broad range.
right.
I mean, I don't mind a thing like we have the Maverick that trucks can pull in and not pull out of, but it's not a truck stop.
Right.
And I think that would be a massive detriment.
So once we get through chapters 1, 2, and 3, maybe the next chapter will be commercial highway.
I'm just throwing that out there while we're talking about that piece of property.
Your suggestion has been noted.
Thank you.
Dave, did you
Can
have
I
a
just
comment?
add a little bit of a staff perspective on this? As I hear you talking, I hear you requesting a couple of things in the way that you're speaking from a tool standpoint that cities have. You brought up the general plan and the decision about zoning on the general plan, which is coming to fruition here, hopefully soon, to be able to nail down whether or not you want mixed use, meaning residential, on that property. However, the way the general plan is drafted currently, and the recommendation from the Planning Commission, like was brought up, the crosshatching does not say mixed use. The crosshatching simply says development agreement and development plan required. I think the idea behind that was a cohesive development in two things, and tell me if I'm wrong, in the look and feel. Again, design guidelines is what you're bringing up and talking about, which we would define, but also kind of the cohesive traffic pattern of the development. So it's not subdivided off and one parcel and then subdivided off and another parcel. That's the hope, that you could have some type of cohesive internal traffic pattern. And if those are the two elements, then I think the general plan as it is drafted may get you there. As Haley brought up, the question is, if somebody comes and requests a variance, then that's always going to be on the city council to say yes or no. But having the general plan nailed down and then having the city code updated on what uses we really care about, and then also having the city code updated with design guidelines, it feels like you've now used the tools that the city has at its disposal to set the stage for when a development comes, that the staff can then review that proposal based on what the council has legislated. And the Planning Commission then, which is an administrative body that also is supposed to be looking at the code, generally speaking, with a few specific responsibilities that they're given, would then also have that direction. So that this development process could probably go a little bit more smoothly. So from staff perspective, nailing down the general plan, nailing down the uses in the code, nailing down design guidelines, I think are the three main tools that answer that question for the Planning Commission and for staff. How do we handle a proposal? Because at this point, the general plan on the books says mixed use. And so the general plan that has been discussed and is in draft form with the committee that did work on mixed use came forward with a no, we don't want residential, but there was still this kind of idea out there of development plan, development agreement. Well, if they bring a great thing, we don't want to tell them no. And so it's been a little nebulous. I think using those three main tools of the general plan, the city code, land use explanation of what's within each zone, and then the design guidelines really plugs a lot of holes from my perspective as somebody trying to administer the code based on what the council is directing. So we're in process to get all those, but I really appreciate the idea of helping a specific development and a specific property and a vision on that property, so that there's not additional, circling until we actually nail it down. So I think that's very valuable that the council has said what they said. We can take that information to the planning commission, and staff can also have a conversation with the developer and express some of these thoughts that you don't have to go all the way down the road to hear it from the council, that there's already a general sense there.
So are you going to take that to planning commission to Rob, or?
My thought is, as the planning commission liaison,
I
it's probably better served coming from you.
I planned on it, so
Okay.
that's okay.
But I think that it's appropriate for staff to have that conversation with the developer.
Sorry to take so long on that, but that's what I had.
No, that was quick compared to their meeting day. For sure. So
Very quick.
it's
compared to
really
what
good
we
to
got.
have some clarification there,
Felt
because
so
I
sweet.
felt like we were going in circles and.
You fell asleep.
Yeah.
and Yes, Michelle.
Sorry, too much, but, I was just talking to Lisa. I don't know if it's possible to talk to the developer of the Stevens property and let them know some of these things that are, still, we're getting close on with the general plan and things like that. And maybe put them off and have them wait a little bit longer, so that they're not coming up with proposals and going back and then coming back in again, back and forth, and just give them notice that we're aware of this, but we want to get some of these things in place first. I don't know if that's possible either, because it does seem to be wasting some of their time.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll have a conversation with them and just let them know about this dialogue, this discussion that you've had, and so that they can feel a little bit of direction, that they're not walking down a path that is a dead end for them.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Other new business?
Just a question, maybe business or not, but do we get a percentage notified of how we're doing in the census?
Why didn't you take on my new business?
Oh, sorry.
Both of mine.
As far as how much has been self-reported so far?
How much, yeah? Like,
We do get that information. The last I heard, we were trending really, really well.
Like 79, wasn't there something like that?
Yeah, I want to say that we were doing really well on the self-reporting percentage, but
but is there
there's
anything
still
that
more to
we
do.
can do to encourage and, get as much participation as we can?
Yeah, we could put out some more information, maybe in the newsletter and social media.
The marquees, the
Yeah,
city entrance, other things, just to remind people if they haven't done so.
Yeah, we
Did they
can,
extend that deadline out then? I think I
Yes.
read.
yeah,
Do we
Do you know
know?
when that is?
I'll have to look that up. I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it was originally October 31st, and the administration is pushing to move it to September 30th. I haven't heard if they resolved that yet or not.
Why not the first week of November? That's when everything's over, so.
I'll look into that, and
That's how you
we'll put another kind of PR campaign together to remind people to do self-report for census.
Thank you.
I don't know. I was reading, I think it was Ogden that had like a free food thing, and come and fill out the census and we give you free food or something. I don't know if that.
Give them
That's
free
not
dirt coming out of the parks budget.
Yeah, so we'll be down at the train park, Angie.
Free train rides.
And maybe we don't need to do that here. It would be
It'd
nice.
be fun.
It'd be nice to have as many as we can get to.
Yeah.
fill
Yeah,
out.
reporting and going through the census is a very important process, and it's very important for us as a city to have everybody counted accurately, because that affects funding for many, many things.
Yeah.
Yes, we do want to get that right, and we'll put together something to continue to put a PR campaign on that. We
Okay.
did early in the process, but then it's been a little bit of silence for us, so we'll bring that back up.
All right. And that reminds me of something else. Dave, have you spoken to Eric Manning yet? I know that down on the trail, the Weber Pathway Trail, there are trees across the trail all along the way. And I was wondering if we could maybe talk to Eric Manning and see if we could set something up where residents could come and volunteer to help at least clean the trail path.
I have not talked with him yet.
Okay.
I'll reach out to him.
If you could, I'm just thinking of our, we can still use the landfill for free. And so we really ought to take advantage of that before next Tuesday, would it be?
Yeah, I believe Wednesday.
Yeah. So, yeah, Wednesday. So, all right. Anything else?
Can I just piggyback on that? I think the citizens of South Weber should be commended for all of the community service. People just jumped in, were helping everybody back and forth. I know we did have the 4 vehicles from the National Guard come in and help out, but I think prior to that, we already had good portions of the city cleaned up. So just thank you to everybody that reached out and took care of their neighborhoods.
Yeah, the response from my perspective was amazing. The community really rallied and served each other and helped each other. It was wonderful. If you want, I can do a little bit of a staff report on the incident response and how that went and where we're at right now. The day of last Tuesday, when it hit early in the morning, our public works crew got out right away and started helping clear in roadways and things like that, making sure that emergency travel was available. There still was wind going on early that Tuesday morning, but they braved that and they were able to do quite a bit of clearing of roadways. There are, if you did not see the pictures of the posse ground, let me know. I will show you pictures of the posse ground. As far as public property is concerned, the posse ground was hit the hardest. That kind of northwest side of the city, Cottonwood Drive, and that area really got hit hard. I know that areas throughout the whole city got hit, but that area especially, of the 4 big trees that lined the grass area of the posse grounds, 3 of them went down. The grass was literally completely covered with trees and debris and things like that. If you go down there now, that's all been cleaned up, obviously. But the sprinkling system was damaged. The grass is really hit hard. The brown fencing
Is gone.
is all had to be removed. It really, we need to have a conversation in the Parks Committee about what we're going to do to kind of restore that area and maybe tie that into the new dog park area and just all of that. It opens up some possibilities, but
Is
we
Lisa's
can.
bench okay?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
beat
what
you
was
to
gonna
it for
say.
once.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. About 95% of it is perfect. 5% of it is a little bit warped because trees did hit it. But it looks pretty good. It's usable.
It's amazing. It made it through that.
I went and did a look at it before it was all cleared out, and that was one of the first things I went to look at is how's the bench doing there, and it was literally covered by trees, but it did survive to the point where it's usable. Other parts of that property did not survive that way, but Thursday night, late afternoon, we received outside help from UDOT. There were 4 large trucks and personnel that came. Initially, the request was, do you need National Guard help? The National Guard did not come into South Weber, but UDOT did send those 4 trucks with personnel, and they helped clean up the posse grounds Thursday night and then into Friday morning. The mayor was awesome. She and her husband came out and also helped in some of the community cleanup that way. And we were able to get the posse grounds cleared. We also were able to help out a few citizens in those hard hit areas. And if there continue to be citizens that you know of that are maybe in a situation where they really don't have any help from either themselves and their family are incapable of that, and neighbors aren't in a position to help for whatever reason, we're not we're not necessarily soliciting that information. We're not out broadcasting that the city's doing anything, but we would like to know of that so that we can help coordinate if there's still needs that way. A lot of the responses, it's on private property, and private property has to take care of it. But as a city, we still are involved in that the best we can. If you noticed, we also put out information about lost garbage cans. Lost garbage cans is a funny conversation, but ultimately we'd like to help in returning of the garbage cans. If people ended up with extra cans because of the wind, or if people lost cans because of the wind, call City Hall and we can help out with that. We've had a few people already reach out and say, I ended up with extra cans. How do I return them to their rightful owner? And we appreciate that. We hear stories anecdotally of other cities that deal with, rather than return garbage cans, we hear about stolen garbage cans because they feel it's a gift from the wind gods, I guess. I don't know that they now have an extra can that they're not paying for, but our citizens have been really good about trying to get those cans back to people. With that being said, many cities had to have conversations about declaration of emergency, a state of emergency. The mayor was involved in those kinds of conversations as it's ultimately her call. We did not have to go to the extent of declaring a state of emergency because the amount of damage didn't warrant that type of reimbursement level. However, the other cities around us didn't necessarily fare so well. And there was lots more public property damage in some of the other cities and the stories that I hear from them. But again, kudos as Councilman Soderquist brought up. The city response, I think, was really good from the resident level and really helpful neighbor to neighbor. And that, I think, is the mark of a true community. And we witnessed that over the last week, and we continue to do so.
Great, thank you. Dave, I know I asked you, and maybe you asked someone about if to declare a state of emergency, if that helped private homeowners to be able to collect on.
It is ineffective.
It
doesn't make any difference on private claims for their insurance or anything like that.
Okay.
One final piece of the response that I didn't say is the public works crew was right on top of it. You saw pictures of the sheriff's office that was right on top of it. There were a number of deputies that were involved in out clearing when power lines were down and things like that, keeping people safe. But it also affected the fire department. We had 18 calls that day, 15 of which were wind related, and really 16 of which, because one of them was counted as a medical, but it really was wind related because that was the tree landing on the resident. And so it was a very busy day for them as well. They were involved in calls about power lines and trees down and all of that kind of thing. So really all of those departments responded.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other new business?
I have one more unless Wayne or Angie might take it.
Better to speak now.
Okay. Just on that note of the wind, where are we at on the CERT program? I know that we were going to look at some supervisors, I think. Has that been?
Yeah, the Public Safety Committee is continuing to push staff to get that done. Really, it's on Chief Tolman's and my desk right now. We have a list of people we know have expressed interest and a list of people that we are maybe approaching to see whether or not they would act as a leadership group for the CERT program. And so right now, we're looking to schedule a day where we could get that group together and see if they would act as a leadership team. Once we have a leadership team in place, then they would be able to kind of take the reins from there and organize it beyond them and gather the masses, so to speak, to be part of that CERT program.
And I believe, and so that's Chief Tolman has made those contacts.
Okay.
And I know he's had about a million other things on his plate with what's going
Absolutely.
on. So I don't want to criticize him because I think he's done his best considering what we've had to go through in the last couple months.
Well, we do have 4 more months of 2020, so.
I know.
Who's counting?
Who's crossed?
Okay,
That's all.
is that it?
Mhm.
All right, then let's move to reports. Wasatch Integrated Waste, I just want to give you an update. The material recovery facility and transfer facility are in operation. The landfill began transferring waste on May 18th of this year to Tooele County. They continue to increase the daily tonnage of waste transferred, and their goal is to divert all residential waste through the material recovery facility and the transfer facility by January 2021. They still recommend that you use residential recycle bins if you get them currently after they're running full capacity in 2021, because recycled waste is easier to sort and more efficient, and they're able to recycle more material that way. They have been successful in moving all planned recyclables to market, and that includes cardboard, steel, aluminum, and number 1 and 2 plastics. And they continue to deliver engineered fuel to the Devil's Slide cement plant, and that's currently accepted at no charge. We just have to transfer it there. The items include mattresses and other numbered plastics. So the facility would love to give a tour of the facility to council members. So just let me know if you'd be interested in that. It's a pretty cool deal they've got going there, but you can let me know sometime if that.
I'll let you know right now.
You would like to
I'll
do
do
that?
it, yeah, I'd love to.
Angie, okay.
I'd like to come too.
Okay,
Love that.
so we'll set up a time with them to go and have that tour. It really is kind of an.
So Joe, I'm sorry, did you say that they were going to be offering that to the public as well, like with cans?
You mean this to recycle?
Uh-huh.
Well, so there are companies that
Will
do
take
the
it to the
recycling,
landfill.
and they take it to the landfill, yes.
Okay.
And they like getting that because it's cleaner. So they can move more of it. So, all right. I think that's all I have. So Councilman Halverson.
Couple planning commission reports. So on August 27th, the lofts paid for a special planning commission meeting. There were two of them held, and I think most of you are aware of it. At the end of the discussion, basically, the lofts were going back to full redesign. They have sent out an initial redesign sketch to the planning commission today, which has eliminated one building, but I don't know all the particulars of it. But it's a complete redesign, pushing things back, and I don't know all the particulars. But so you'll hear more about it and probably see more on the lofts as they come back.
Are they going to the October meeting or later?
I believe
Tomorrow.
It's Thursday.
Oh,
it's
Tomorrow. Isn't it Thursday?
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Wednesday, the 16th was when they scheduled the.
I don't think
Next
I've
continuation.
seen that packet. But
Well, it
I would
would
say
just
the
be this new
Yeah.
rendering that was,
She
the
sent
concept
it
that was
out
brought
just
today.
before, this meeting.
okay. The regular scheduled planning commission on the 10th of this month. There were a few items that will be coming before us. One is the soccer complex CUP. Currently, the CUP, they were going back and forth on what should be on it, what should have been on the old one, but anyway, it came down to where the motion was made to have a current CUP that they can handle 100 cars. They're supposed to add right turn only traffic signs, handle traffic signage during large events. Hours of operation 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Operate 7 days a week, and install a 15-foot high brush/shrub. I couldn't remember what Commissioner Grubb called it, as a buffer on the entire east side of the property. So that is what's on there. I do think there's some things that we need to address
Yes, we do.
further in that CUP, and I think we all are aware of most of those. And when does that hit our agenda? Next Tuesday?
It will most likely be on the 29th, but we need to have a conversation about having a meeting on the 29th. before we say it's on the 29th.
Okay,
That's in my report.
all right, I'll wait. The other one was Riverside Place, Phase 5, which is the part of the Riverside Place around the Posse Grounds, was recommended for approval. They did have a few comments with just some language on the plans, but it's a pretty straightforward recommendation. The general plan was approved with one note to remove Kingston Drive as it continues through the soccer complex property. So pay attention to that. But, and I wanted some clarification on this. So it was approved to come to us. It was approved by the Planning Commission, but then it was brought up that they have to hold another public hearing by state law in May, passed in our state legislature, that once it's approved by Planning Commission, then a public hearing has to be held. They make any modifications and it comes to us, correct?
Yeah, so we've been talking quite a while that Planning Commission would make the recommendation, there'd be a public hearing, and then the council would be able to, take it from there and either amend or approve. The state law clarification is it specifically says after Planning Commission makes the recommendation, Planning Commission has to hold a public hearing. So the state law calls out Planning Commission as holding a public hearing after they make a recommendation. So it's still the same public hearing, but we'd all been kind of working under this pretense that that public hearing would be at the council level, where actually the Planning Commission has to hold it. It does allow them, if they hear public comment and they want to make any final amendments before sending that on, they don't have to re-recommend necessarily, but based on that public hearing, it does, the state law does allow them to make amendments. So it's still the same steps essentially, but it clarified on a second reading of that section of state law that the Planning Commission has to hold that public hearing. So that's what was brought out and I think was confusing during the meeting.
So we don't have to have 2 more public hearings. Just
No,
one
the
more
city
public-
council does not have to hold a public hearing. If you would like to, obviously, you can always hold a public hearing whenever you'd like, but no, it specifically calls out Planning Commission for holding that public hearing.
Are they going to try to do those on the same day in October? I've been asked that a couple of
I'm
times.
not sure about that.
Okay.
I can look into
I
that.
don't think it'll be a large public hearing in my opinion. That is all I have to report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Haverson. Councilwoman Alberts.
I don't have any new business. I was just wondering, Mark, have we heard anything more on the live streaming equipment? Has it arrived yet?
It hasn't arrived yet, so I haven't heard anything from the last update. Still waiting on equipment to arrive.
Okay, thank
Did you reach out to them and maybe light a fire a little?
Yeah.
Maybe just a phone call, say, where are we at? Is it still in China or is it here?
I think we're about 6 weeks out, right?
I can find out where it is, but,
I do know any electronics that we've ordered have been very, very, I mean, very slow.
they did say the last time that they will start before they get the cameras. They know the cameras will be the last things to arrive. And so as soon as they get enough of the equipment that makes it feasible to start, they're planning to start. But they haven't got enough of that equipment to make it feasible to start all the work that needs to be done here.
Okay. Is that it, Councilwoman Alberts?
That's it.
Okay, Councilman Silverquist.
Just one update, we had the Sticker Parsons Gravel Pit Contribution Committee meeting, where we talked about, acknowledging the 5-member committee to talk about where some of the funds that are being contributed by Sticker Parsons for recreation. I think it was a good discussion. They have been trying and paying to enhance recreation in our city for several years now. And so there'll be a little bit more maybe visibility of their contribution at various sporting events. They'll probably have some banners up just saying something relative to Sticker Parsons, Port South Weaver, They maybe have their names on some of the jerseys that they may help pay for some of the sporting events. There'll just be different things come out that will be more visible that Staker Parsons is supporting and enhancing the recreation within our city. So we'll probably meet with them again as a committee towards just after the first part of the year to see how things are going and where focus might be next year. But that's just an update on that committee.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Petty.
Yes, the Parks and Rec Committee met right before the Staker Parsons Committee, and we had a little discussion about how we want our final product to look in Canyon Meadows Park as it as we refer to like the parking lot and whatnot. So paying attention to scope creep, but final best use of our money as well. So we'll have more updates on that when we meet again, and we have another update from Brendan. And we are scheduling another Parks and Recreation Committee to discuss grants, potential grants for trails. And what did we just talk about?
Yeah, there was something else, wasn't there?
You just said it's got to go to parks.
Posse ground.
The posse grounds.
Grounds. We need to have a discussion about posse grounds. Okay. My next report would be, so our youth city council, we have extended our deadline for applications to September 21st. The application is still online and there is one error on it. Well, two. Now it says the deadline is September 8th, which we're extending that. But we also want it to show that you do not need an attendance or citizenship requirement. That should have been omitted from there. So I'm hopeful maybe that's what's making people hesitant to apply because they're not sure how to obtain that. And with everyone's attendance now, I don't know how you'd even get that. But we're really looking forward to having a great year with the city council. We have some fun ideas and different residents of the community who are willing to do different trainings and stuff with us. So it will really be fun. So I'm putting that out there. The 21st, September 21st, we have another week.
Awesome.
Do you have anything to add to that, Haley? Did I cover that? I think you got it all. Okay. All right. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Councilman Winter.
Yeah, I am here. There seems to be a conflict in scheduling next Tuesday with the Code Committee and the Municipal Utilities Committee. That hasn't been rectified. They're overlapping. I'd like to get that straightened out before next Tuesday. So since I'm going to both.
Why not kill two birds with one stone?
I don't think the others who want to listen to Municipal Utilities want to hear what the Code Committee is talking
You
about.
can just put one on mute.
I'm just not that talented, sorry.
Multitasking.
Okay,
So if you
Yeah,
address that,
I'll work to
thank you.
get that.
is that it?
Yes, I'll make that in.
No bug updates?
Yeah, no, I was unfortunate enough to not go to the mosquito abatement committee meeting. I was unthawing myself.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Windsor. Dave, did you have something?
Yeah, I actually have quite a few things to report on today.
Take two.
I think you want to hear from me on all of them. So,
Yes, we do.
I do.
The first one though is something that's a little bit sad. I sent this out to the council already and to staff that knows Roger Worthen, who was a former city manager for South Weber City and the current city manager in Riverdale. He passed away on Sunday from leukemia. He was 57 years old. He's been dealing with this for basically the last 6 months and had extensive chemotherapy, had bone marrow transplant. He really was fighting it hard, and all signs were positive really until about 10 days ago. And then they found out that it was back, and it was back strong, and he passed away on Sunday morning. So there will be a viewing this Friday in Syracuse. There is a funeral on Saturday. And then there's options if people are interested in helping the family financially. But he was here as the South Weaver city manager, I believe, from around 2010 to 2014. I might have those dates a little bit wrong, but are right about then. And so not too far away, just down the road in Riverdale. And I've had interaction with him on a personal level. And so from a city manager group and an association, we've all kind of hit it pretty hard and felt it pretty hard recently. And he was a big BYU fan, so he was a couple notches higher in my book too. So he will be missed. The other thing I've got was kind of came up about the 29th. We did not hold a meeting last week. We typically do not hold a meeting on the 5th Tuesday. The 29th of September would be a 5th Tuesday, but there are a couple of time-sensitive items that I think warrant meeting on the 29th. One of those is the soccer CUP to have that turn around and be back on the 29th. We're not able to put that on the 22nd because of schedules of the players and the players involved, not the soccer players, but Kelly is the property owner and others. So we're looking at potentially holding a meeting on the 29th. There's also, and this is another project update that relates to holding a meeting on the 29th. And we talked about the Cottonwood water line a little bit tonight already. The bids came back for that and they were above budget. And they also were above budget in areas that affected not just Uinta City and South Weaver City, but the Weaver Basin Water District. And so earlier this morning, representatives from Uinta and South Weaver met with Weaver Basin and talked with them about what we do since this bid came back higher than the cities had budgeted for. And the long and short of it is there's really two options. You either make the project a little bit less, right? Or you kick in more money. And we're looking at the first option first, and that is ways to value engineer the project. There was discussion with Weaver Basin about what they were requiring in their meter vaults, which the 2 meter vaults were taking up more than half of the project cost. And so we had accounted for some of that in the bid, but it was much more than anticipated. And so we're still working on that. But we do not think that it would be wise to wait to award that contract until October, because we would not meet again until the middle of October, the second Tuesday there. And so if we can hold a meeting on the 29th, we could get both of those things on the agenda. Is the council available to meet on Tuesday, the 29th?
I am.
Checking.
I can.
David, how many bids did you get on the pipeline?
10. We actually had a lot of bids.
All of them were too high.
Yes. Yeah, the low bid was still too high.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I'm available.
that being said, we did actually get good bids. I mean, that sounds funny that they were too high than what we budgeted, but in the current climate and things, it actually comes out to be fairly good. They were very competitive. They were reasonably close, and so we feel that it was good. But there's also elements to it we know that we can adjust to hopefully bring the cost down. Was that everybody saying yes? Hold the meeting.
I don't know about this person.
Angie's non-committal.
I don't think anybody knows. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
Yes.
Okay. The next item that I have to report is we just barely got word of the Cobblestone Manor court hearing date. I sent an email out, but so the public knows that is scheduled for October 26th. And so that's still farther out than we want, but with court schedules right now and schedules of the parties involved, that's as soon as we could get it. So October 26th.
Well, it's good to know, at least. They haven't
It feels like
it.
there's progress, even though that's still a ways out. At least we're scheduling and the process is continuing to move. So next week is the Utah League of Cities and Towns annual conference, their fall edition. I've heard from one of you as far as wanting to attend and wanting to register for that. Are there others that would like to register? If you do, let me know and I can register you. And then you will have to sign up for the different sessions because it's all virtual. There's no in-person meeting this year. So you'll have to arrange that schedule the way that you want once I've got you registered for the conference. So is anybody else interested that I haven't heard from? Okay. Okay, no worries. I will just work with the one individual who wants to go and let them know when they're registered and sign up for sessions. Did I do that well? Did I lay it on thick? And then,
A little bit. It didn't work.
yeah. You probably noticed that our developer for the dog park has been out there clearing the path and creating the trail. So there is quite a bit of movement out there. They're doing the work that they've committed to do. However, that is the area of town that also had quite a bit of trees down and wind damage. So that is technically city property. And we have a little bit of a conversation about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do.
There were a lot of, yeah,
Yes.
a lot of those trees you were trying to save went down.
Yeah, it's sad. There's work that's going to be done. So as we talk about maybe a community event to clear out areas, that may be one that we can look at and potentially have some help for. It's a little bit of a unique scenario because it's still developer working in the area, city property. It's very similar to when a subdivision goes in and the sewer lines are in and they're being used, but it's still under conditional acceptance. The city hasn't taken ownership of it yet. In this case, they haven't even reached conditional acceptance yet. So there's still owner obligation on the developer, yet the property was deeded to us through the development process. So we're still working with the developer on that, but they are making progress on that commitment for the dog park. So we anticipate that being done by the November 1st deadline that was discussed. If the grass goes in and we're able to then get that to take, then over the winter, obviously it won't be used much, but I think we'll be able to do a kind of a grand opening in the spring once it's dry enough to get people on there.
A ribbon cutting?
We're going to cut the ribbon.
Okay. That's what we're looking at with the dog park. Bring a chainsaw.
27 inches.
Yeah. And then last thing for me is I'm going out of town this Thursday. I'll be out of town Thursday, Friday, Saturday, back Sunday. And we're going in a place that doesn't have cell service. So if you have anything and have needs, then contact Mac. He'll be able to take care of you. And pet him.
Thank you, Dave. Mark, did you, Mac? Okay. Lisa?
I'll be on vacation next week, so Friday will be here, apparently maybe for the next 2 meetings. In my place, so just be kind to her.
Wait. Did we give Lisa permission to go on vacation?
Yeah, Matt gave me
We hope you have a great time, Lisa. Michelle? Nothing? Okay. Then if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in
Come on,
favor?
Wayne.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the meeting is adjourned.